The idea, the philosophy, did it work? What happened? You started the game on the sidelines. You've said you preferred to be in the booth in the past. You were in the booth the second half. Just trying to calm Taylor and Grant. What was the philosophy there, Bush?
Yeah, I think the thought was just, seeing the communication with him and I just on the sidelines. To be honest with you, felt way more comfortable upstairs. It's the first time I've been down there on the field, and, I don't know exactly what to equate it to, but, when you got that vantage point from up top, I thought second half being able to see things just felt more comfortable, and that's all it was about.
Before the season, we asked Eric kind of about his thoughts about being a deep threat, and he said, "Hey, I want to be known more than a deep threat." He's now you're leading a receiver. Just how well has he kind of adjusted to and become kind of your more than just a deep threat for you guys?
Yeah, he's done a tremendous job. I think we've talked about it since fall camp. He's a guy from a maturity standpoint. You guys know what it is. It's all about that process, right? And you guys have seen him out in fall camp working the way he's worked. Each week he's just continuing to take the next step. And when you can run like that, you can create a lot of stuff underneath for yourself as well, right? It's probably pretty similar to having a really good jump shot in basketball. You can hit jumpers, you can drive to the lane, and his vertical ability is a huge skill that we got to keep developing.
Backup to backup. How impressed are you with what Mad Dog's doing?
Really impressed. Really impressed. I mean, I think, again, I go back to since spring ball, you go back to UCF, every time his number's called, he knows how to move the ball, he knows how to play the game. So it's a testament to him. I said it last week of how he preps. He stays focused on what his job is, and we're fortunate to have a guy who's ready to go if need be.
How do you see the wide receiver room developing? So many young guys now, and you got the veteran leadership at the top, but you're trying to get these young guys more reps. How is that developing through 3 games for you?
Yeah, Mike, I think we got, a good mixture. There was certainly, obviously some positives with Prince going out there and really getting his first work. Again, you never know exactly how a guy's going to react in live situations, but that was one of the better plays I've seen in a long time on the right sideline there, making that catch. And so, there's veteran leadership for sure. Those guys, we got to do a good job of continuing to grow those guys. And I know those guys are the type of people, too, that will help and develop these younger guys as well. And so I think there's some good spots there. We got to keep going with the consistency, as you guys know, but there were some positive things in that game.
Seems like defenses are constantly just putting those edges as far out as possible to keep Taylor in the box. What opens up when that happens?
Come on, week 3. You guys have just been telling me I haven't been running them at all. So, it's no secret right there, right? They've got about 7-8 games on them now. But again, you look at some of the things we talked about, like the inside run game, right? When you don't have to worry about a defensive end chasing things back on the backside. I mean, there's windows inside there, and so those are things we got to continue to just take advantage of. And, that's good defensive play, right? If they're going to take away one of his strengths, what are you going to do to counter that? So,
on that, could he just run inside, or does that not work?
Oh, no, it works for sure. Yeah, it's something on our mind. In general, in between the tackles, you're going to take a little bit of pounding, right? So you got to manage that as well. You're not looking to go 12 times a game, which was what our number necessarily was, and just run a guy in between the tackles and take those hits. So we got to pick our spots. He picked his spots in that last game a couple times and did a nice job with his legs.
Card's been on here on campus for 3 months and already played in games in guard, tackle, tight end for you guys. Just what is it about him that he's able to pick up so many positions so early for you guys?
Yeah, I think he's extremely mature. He's a guy that's played in big games. I think I heard him, I was walking out there with him and he was talking about, I think, last time I started guard was versus West Virginia, and so you have that experience. You've played in those big games. Obviously, it shows up, but he's done a tremendous job since he's been here. He's been a huge offseason acquisition for us, to have a veteran guy with that kind of size, that kind of experience, and again, the versatility for him to have played really that tight end position, the tackle position, the guard position. He's been huge.
What do you think of kind of his performance on Saturday?
Really pleased. I think he's played solid, back-to-back weeks now against good opponents. And again, right, we talk about so much of those guys, right? Looking at Garrett and the amount of movement he's already had, and then Ethan and what he's done. It's a testament to that group. Big picture, conceptual learners, right? Not just getting locked into one position, and that's been a huge strength.
division, and the first couple of weeks you'd be testing your depth of running back in the manner that you guys have had to. How good of a job has JMO done and just getting whoever is needing to be in the game, ready to go, because those guys have been really efficient productive this season.
Yeah, he's been tremendous, and I think that about this whole offensive staff. But Jimmy is as good as a position coach as I've been around. He's just a guy that knows all three levels, from an offensive standpoint, the pass game, the run game, the protections. And again, his ability to connect with guys is so big, certainly at the college level. And I think there's a lot of trust built there. As you know, with all these players, at times you got to know when to push a little bit, when to back off. And he's really done a tremendous job with all those guys.
Like a guy like, Breezy, when he gets on campus, he teaches them, not only has 25 to 30% of the playbook, generally speaking. Yeah. And then they can continue to earn more. How does one, is it becoming a better blocker if you're a receiver? I don't know, how does one earn more snaps, I guess, in those situations?
Yeah, I think, there's the football side of it, obviously, but there's also just the preparation side of it, too. A lot of times with a young freshman, the ability to just lock him in and say, hey, Breezy, this is going to be the 10 plays that you're going in on, just allows him to not overthink things. Obviously, their emotional side can get high as a young guy, and so I think that's a really great thing, again, that Jimmy has done. We have a very specific plan, of what those plays are that he's going to go in and execute. And then, you're always a play away from having to be able to execute everything. So, but we're pleased with Breezy, man. The moment has not been too big. Again, he's done a really, really nice job keeping things simple, trusting his eyes and his athleticism.
Idaho State historically has, one of the better defensive reputations in this league. What do you see this year on film?
Yeah, extremely. Again, this is a team that plays extremely hard, really tests you from an eye control standpoint with the amount of movement. I know they've done a great job with takeaways, and obviously from last week, that's a huge point of emphasis from us. But it's physical, it's downhill, not a ton of just easy throws. But again, Mike, the movement, I would say, is the number one thing of just up front, guys, keeping their eyes up on the perimeter, blocking, and when there's opportunities to make plays on the outside, we got to go make plays versus a talented secondary.
Times against North Dakota, we saw that the playbook open up a little bit. Some of the wildcat, even from midfield. We saw the double pass, the reverse. Was just, I guess, what was behind that? And is that something you're trying to continue to be a little more multiple and mix it up more?
Yeah, I think so. I think anytime from a personnel grouping standpoint, you can, certainly be in 11, be in 12. I think before the year had started, us thinking we were going to be in a lot more of the two-back type sets. But then add the Wildcat, add the Clydesdale. I think it just can pose issues for defenses of getting a feel for what that personnel is, and then adding the shift in the movement. We hope that can create advantages as well. So pleased with the different things we did there and create some easy yards.
A guy with a pretty crazy story, a unique upbringing and stuff. What have you learned about him as a person over the last, I guess, 8-9 months?
Yeah, I just, I'm just really proud of Eric. I think in some ways, you guys know it. These guys are such in the limelight, if you will, and they're still growing just like, we all are, And I remember just coming in here at first, Eric was always the funny guy, always the guy, making jokes and whatnot. And to be honest with you, he's probably one of those guys in game that's like, getting on the phone, getting on the headsets. Hey, I think this. I know you like this. This is how they're playing me. So I just think there's been a ton of growth from his standpoint. We don't ever want him to lose his personality because it's contagious and it's positive. But I do think from a focus standpoint, from an intentionality day in and day out, he's done a really nice job.
Prides itself on being a developmental program, to get, I don't know what the exact percentage of yardage that you guys got last week were freshman or sophomore, but it was a high percentage. When you get that, what does that do for you guys? What do you like about, what's it show about your development?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I think from a recruiting standpoint, recruits know that we're willing to play young guys, and if you're ready to step up and play at a high level, we're going to allow them to do that. But I think it's everything. I think it's all phases of this program. I think it's the culture Andy set. I think it's what Ben does in the weight room, across the board. I think it's, when they get here, the importance of it's not just a redshirt year, right? It's not just a year of, hey, we're going to push you to the side and see where you're at a year from now. it's a very detailed plan to make sure you get ready, and I think that shows.
Eric is one of the most targeted wide receivers on throws of over 20 yards, I think, in the country. To finally hit on a few of those, how encouraging is that for you, for him, for the entire production of the offense for that matter?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think we talk about rhythm a lot, and for us to be at our best, we got to be clicking on all cylinders, and that's a physical downhill run game. That's the ability to extend the run game with perimeter stuff, which we took advantage of, I thought, last game. But then when people come down in the box, we got to be explosive in those situations. So that's our blueprint, if you will. You saw it at times maybe in that game. We got to be more consistent. But again, the ability to have vertical threats, which we've had here in the past, you guys know the difference that makes, certainly in college football.
I guess people look at the older receivers, the 6-year guys, Billy, Steph, and I guess they just think that it should be the number 1, number 2 guys, no problem. I mean, Steph had 3 catches for a couple yards. Billy maybe had 1 catch in garbage time. Is there more to be desired from your standpoint from those guys, and what do you want to see from them from here on out?
Yeah, I think I think there's been targets, and I think in those first couple games there's been opportunities, right? And but as I don't want to say we're feeding the hot hand, but when a guy's going out there and making plays, we're looking for opportunities in those situations to put the right guys in the right spots. And we got a ton of confidence in both Steph and Billy. And again, week to week, things change. I mean, you look at what Steph did at the end of that UCF game to put us in position to go win that game. That was incredible. And so obviously you always want a situation where everybody's getting an equal share, but you never know where the ball's going to end up and go.
All right, thank you all.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.